Good morning. I'm here with the legendary Chris Moore, who's shot numerous catwalk and couture campaigns over the years. How are you today?
I'm very good, very, very good. Come to do the gala show and the overseas graduates here at Fashion Graduate Fashion, I should say. Yes, and I feel fine.
How important is it for Graduate Fashion Week to host this event?
Well, we have a site called catwalking.com, and we've always had the graduates on that site, and we find that people do take an interest in it, and it is used by the students and the colleges a great deal. So for that reason, we need to cover it.
Yeah, it's so important for the designers to break into the industry and have this sort of coverage.
It is indeed, and very difficult for them. I feel so sorry for them because there are so few jobs, but so many graduates. But the cream will always come to the top, I feel. So
The talent will come out.
yes, come out.
I mean, speaking of talented, you really shot some like admirable campaigns in the history of like all your work.
Right.
Is there a particular memorable character that you've worked with?
Well, I mean, we cover all the collections from. Well, when I say all the collections, we cover New York, Paris, Milan, and London, and people like Hussein Chalian, we do their house, and Alexander McQueen, we do their house, just to name a few. And those, I love doing people like Comme des Garçons, Junior Watanabe. So it's really enjoyable. Great shows, and it's enjoyable to do.
You've got a whole range of different collections and designs that come through and different ideas
Right.
behind it. Is it the concepts of when you see a story on the catwalk or a story behind a photo shoot? Is that what
Well, it is basically the designers, if you like, are artists, and the collection is their painting, as it were. So when it's spring summer 2019, Comme des Garçons, that's her finished picture for that time. And that I find very interesting, and they put on very interesting shows, and it's visually wonderful, and music is wonderful, the whole feeling of the shows.
I think music sometimes captures what the designer is trying to portray perfectly.
Well, it does.
Yeah.
For instance, recently Miu Miu had a show, and they had Depeche Mode, who I, in my age and ignorance, had not really been aware of until the Miu Miu show. And they just had one song, but sung by 3 or 4 different people of the same song. And I don't know what it's called, but it's something about In My Arms or something like that. And it was just terrific. I mean, I wonder whether the music affected me more than the actual collection. But
I think it was. I mean, I was listening to it last night actually, but it was Depeche Mode in "World in My Eyes."
or something like that. Yes. Oh, that's interesting. Well, there you are. Yes, strange. We're obviously connected in some way. Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
You began shooting catwalks in the late 60s.
I did. Yes. Yes. But my first wife was a journalist, and she used to go and she worked for just a simple trade magazine, which was about fabric. So she would go to the collections in Paris to see them and cover them, and she did for quite some time. Then I've been a photographer since I was 16, 17. So she said, you should come along, and I did go along, and I became totally fascinated by it and did enjoy doing it. And I became pigeonholed, really. People think of me just as a catwalk photographer.
Well, it comes in your blood, doesn't it?
It does indeed. It does get in your blood, and it's hard to get it out of your blood, actually. Yeah.
Are there any particular favourite eras or,
there are a number of them, but certainly the mid-80s to the mid-90s were really wonderful, when those supermodels suddenly appeared on the catwalk, which I think was probably I think it was Versace who bought, booked the models and paid them huge sums of money, so they couldn't refuse to do a catwalk. Prior to that, the catwalk models, the catwalk was rather looked down upon, and so you just had average models and house models, and the clothes were the thing that mattered. And in fact, they didn't have music. They used to have numbers, and people would to say that the garment was number 34 or etc. etc. So it's a totally different scene.
It's fascinating. Do you think so you talked about the late 80s, 90s. Do you think that was a total breakthrough for a change in the industry?
I think it was, yes, I do think it was. But then again, currently it's always fascinating. It's always wonderful. I mean, I was just at Blenheim Palace covering the Dior rather, beg your pardon, the Dior pre-collection show, and then Westminster Abbey we covered the Gucci pre-collection show, which is absolutely amazing that those two venues would be used in Britain at this time. I wonder if they're trying to keep us in the common market. I'm not sure, but anyway.
Well.
Yeah, time will tell.
Speaking of keeping the industry alive, what do you think the key elements for keeping the fashion industry evolving and changing are today?
Gosh, that's an interesting question. Yes, I guess there are. I get the feeling that there are times when things suddenly change, like the miniskirt and the street scene, and there will come a time when something will become important. And there's this new designer called Vetements, yes, who seems to have clothes slightly too large for you. And also there are designers which seem to design clothes which appear to be just about on and about to come off, which I find interesting. But I think there are moments when suddenly design takes off, as it were,
really,
and people join that. Yes, and people join that bandwagon.
And then it's all hell breaks loose because
Exactly.
everyone jumps on it.
Exactly.
And relating back to photography, obviously graduate, there's so many young aspiring creatives.
Yes.
What words of advice would you give to any young aspiring photographers
Well,
today?
always never give up. I mean, basically, there will be rocky roads ahead. In any, like yourself as a journalist, very difficult, and you just have to stick at it and polish your craft. That's really the best thing I could say.
Words of advice for me too there, so thank
you. Right, okay, lovely.
It's a pleasure speaking to you.
And you.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.